right, welcome to our next experiment in our STEAM Challenges class. This experiment is called the balloon buggy, and there's a couple cautions and some materials that you'll need to get for this activity. First, parents, if you're watching, this is one where we definitely give the kids some support for this activity because it involves using a few minor tools, and I'm not comfortable with kids cutting with an X-Acto knife or the use of hot glue. You know your kids, so just be on the safe side, and adult supervision is definitely recommended. Okay, so some things that you'll need: a pair of scissors. If you have larger ones, that would be best. I use either a hobby knife or a utility knife for this experiment, and again, I use the hobby knife. In class, when we do this experiment, I have kids drawing, and then they come to me when they need something cut. And they can sand. They can use the sandpaper as well. You might want some magic markers, a pencil or a pen, a ruler, which is in your box, and hot glue gun is necessary for this project. Okay, so to start out our project, you'll find your bag of supplies in your box, and the balloon buggy is a car that you're going to build that works by air. It actually uses Sir Isaac Newton's third law of motion, which says that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. You're going to place the balloon on one of these yellow plastic holders. And what it does is it takes the air from the balloon and it directs it to a small point, which gives it a lot of force going in one direction, which will hopefully make your car go in the other direction. Okay, so that's how it works. We've put a couple of these in there, a few balloons, a wide selection of wheels, because this is a STEAM challenge activity. So which ones you use is up to you. Okay, so I want you to think about this, and we're going to talk about it as I'm going to build like a mock or model car here to start, and that way you can kind of see how it all fits together. So the first thing we should look at is you have 3 pieces of balsa wood. Okay, one is if you make a mistake, so I'll put that one off to the side. The other is for the chassis of your car, which is the bottom or the base. And the other is to cut pieces of wood to hold the balloon air director. Okay, so if we just take one piece of balsa and start with that. And now I do like to encourage you to get fancy or try out your ideas. And before we can start building the car, I think it's probably best for you to make a plan. What is your car going to look like? Okay, so you want to try to design a plan for it. You do not have to have a rectangular base on your car. You may have whatever kind of base you want. So I think for my design, I'm going to going across here. This is a 3-inch piece of balsa, and 1.5 inches is about right there. So I'm going to make a mark there, and I'm just kind of go down and make something like that. And then I'll keep the back kind of how it is. Okay, this is just our sample car, so I can do that. What can you cut the balsa wood with? Balsa, you can even cut it with a pair of scissors. Okay, I'm going to score it with this X-Acto knife though. And again, X-Acto knives are serious stuff. If you're going to be using one, your parent must be there with you. Okay, so I'm going to make it just a little bit of a score on here, and I'll show you that in just one second. And I'm going to do the same going across this way. I'm just holding it like this so you can see it. I actually had it flat on a cutting board. A cutting board is like an old piece of wood or something so that you don't make a cut on your table. So anyway, then this can be broken off, and I'm just going to rescore this side because that's the one I was holding up. And I'm going to make that cut. And balsa wood is pretty weak material. I mean, you can cut it with a pair of scissors. And I'm just going to make a little, take that little point off the top there and make it kind of more of a rounded shape. Now, one other thing that you might choose to do is to use some sandpaper on it. That's an optional thing, but that would also help make it nice and smooth. All right, so now we have a shape for the chassis of our car, and now we're going to choose which kind of wheels we're gonna go ahead and use. Our wheels, we have thick wheels. We have skinny wheels. We even have a wheel that could be used as a three-wheel car. Okay, so it's up to you how you do it. If you were to make a three-wheel car, you'd probably make a cut in here so that the wheel could fit in. Okay, and then you have two axles. You have skinny straws. And then somewhere in your box you have a huge bundle of straws that you can use. I prefer the thicker straws, but some people prefer the thin straws. And anyway, so if I look at this axle, you can see that it's designed for a 3-inch car, sort of. I might have to trim away a little bit on the car after I make the axle, but that's part of it. Now, it also comes with these little rubber bands, which fit neatly onto these wheels. You can place the rubber band on here, and you can probably guess what that rubber band would be for. It's sort of like the tire of the car. It gives it what we call traction or friction. It grabs the road in order, allowing the car to get going and take off. Now, you certainly do not need to use these, though. You can use whichever kind of design you want, or you could use all of them, however you want to do it. In our sample model today, I'm going to be now connecting one axle to one of these thick wheels. Excuse me on that one. And you can tell we're professional video makers here at Super Science Programs. And you can see I have this on here like this. Our next step is to find the straw. And I'm going to take the straw and I'm going to kind of put it in here. Now I have one of my thick straws here from your box, and I'm going to, the straw is going to go on here so that the wheel can roll or smooth, a nice smooth spin. Okay, so think about which one you want to use, and then I'm going to cut it so that the other wheel will also fit on there. And I'll use my scissors for the cutting of the straw. And there we go. And this is going to go on here like this. Then we're going to take our other little wheel. You may have noticed that I used an old pair of pliers for a tap hammer. You can do that with this project. And if maybe your dad or your mom has a little hammer that you can use, probably better than this, but this works just fine. There we go. See how that spins nice and freely? And then, does it fit on your car? Let's see. Yes, it does. You want that straw to hang out over the side of the 3-inch piece of balsa just a little bit. And then we want to attach it. Now, I'm going to put my other tire on. And again, the tires are optional. The thick wheels are optional. You can use all skinny wheels, some skinny and some thick. You can make it a 3-wheel car. Use your imagination. What can you come up with? Okay, so now I'm gonna put this right here, and you can kind of see it on here how it's gonna go. And I'm going to hot glue that. And I've had my hot glue gun warming up, and now ideally I'm going to use my ruler before I do that though, and decide how far up I would like it. I think I'm going to put mine at a 1/2-inch mark, and I'm going to make one dot at the 1/2-inch spot, and then I'm going to make another dot and connect the two. And you can kind of see here that these will now be connected, and we will have a nice straight axle. If you don't get it straight, if you say, hey, I don't need a ruler, rulers aren't important, we don't need to measure, well, guess what? Your car is probably not going to roll straight then. Okay? Now, to set the axle on there is kind of like a crafty part here. You're going to put just a little bit of glue. I'm hoping you can see this because I'm filming and trying to build, and it's quite difficult. So I've got just a little bit of glue there. And now I'm going to just lay it on there nice and lightly. I am not going to add more glue right away. And the reason for that, this takes about 10 seconds to dry, or to at least start to dry. The reason I'm not putting more glue on though is because I want to see how it rolls when it's all done. And if it looks like it's going well, then I'll add some more glue. If it's not straight and the car just curves like crazy, well, I might have to adjust that. And I don't want to have to be messing with large amounts of hot glue because of it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place some front wheels on here like this. And then I want some way for this to be mounted. Now, the balloon gets blown up through the little hole, and when you release it, the air will come out here and it will shoot the gas one way and cause your car to go the other way. And that's Newton's third law of motion. Hopefully it's able to overcome inertia. Inertia is a force that kind of keeps things at rest or in motion. If you make your car nice and light, it will go right off that starting line. If your car is super heavy, guess what? It's not going to work very well coming off the starting line. So these are things you want to think about as you design and build your car. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the player and come back and show you a partially completed car. Okay, here is the chassis of my car, and you can see that I used a large set of wheels with tires in the back, and on the front I used a set with no tires. On the back I used the larger straw, and on the front I used one of the small straws that comes in your bag. So a variety of different uses. With my markers I can color it in and design it. And our last step, probably the most important part, is to put the air holder of science on there. So what we want to do is we want to make it so that it can direct air out in a straight line. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. You're going to use your imagination a little bit. You have extra balsa wood that you could use. You have things like Kiva blocks in your box that, you know, if you want to glue them to your car, you can do that. Okay? Or find something from around the house, maybe some piece of recycled material. You may add fins to your car. You can make your car as well equipped as you'd like. We've even had kids try to put 2 of these on one car. Or you can go ahead and build a second car. It's up to you. Okay? Or use it for something else. So, I'm going to turn the player off. I want you to get started on your car. Think about how you want it to look. And remember, this is STEAM challenges. So not only building the car is a challenge, we want to see how far can you make your car go in a straight line. All right, I'm going to turn off my player, and then I'm going to mount this back so you can see what I came up with. So the next thing I did was I traced this. I kind of took a piece of balsa wood and I traced how I want that to look on there, because it's going to help hold it on there. So that's what I came up with. I put 2 of these on here, and now we're going to connect the air balloon air shooter of science, and then we'll try it out. So here is my finished balloon car of science. And you can see it's got the little air holder in there. Here is our balloon, and to make it work, I would first blow up the balloon and stretch it out real good, and then let the air out and then put it back on. And then you want to pinch right here when it's ready to go. Now some kids have come up with ideas where they come up with a solution for this big balloon kind of getting in their way. Maybe that's what you can do. So then you just let go to make it work, and it's going to go right off my table here, I think. Oh no! All right, so that's the balloon buggy or balloon car.